Arsenal versus PSV, leading on aggregate 6-1. And I tell you what, this will be a boring game. Absolutely. We're not going to put out a strong squad whatsoever. We've effectively done the job in the first leg. All we need to do now is just avoid conceding 5. So maybe we might put out a bit of a defence at most, but not that we really have much of an attack, but we won't put out a strong attack. But I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, come to think of it, we don't really have that kind of depth in the attack. So who are we going to play? Are we going to still play the same players? What I'll say, we're probably going to start playing some youngsters. And I don't even know what the full team's going to look like here. I'm not sure what to predict anymore. But, again, we're probably going to play some youngsters who I have never heard of. It's one thing Arteta likes doing this season, is playing youngsters, giving them a chance to kind of shine a little bit. And I'm not really up to date with the academy, so I'm not going to try and pronounce any names. But obviously, with PSV, it's more of a question now: is will they bring out a big squad? I don't think they will personally. I think they're going to look at this and just say it's done, it's over. But then again, I also said that Man United would put out one of their weaker squads, and they put out a decent squad, I think. I thought for sure that they would keep out Bruno Fernandes, but they didn't. But for us, right now, it's just avoid conceding too many goals. Avoid conceding at all if you can. But in general, it won't be an entertaining game. And I'm starting to wonder, with me, I bought the ticket, 75 quid. And I'm looking at that ticket now and I'm thinking, what was the point? Why did I have to spend that much money on a game ticket when we've already effectively won it and it's going to be one of the most boring games? Not that I'm really saying too much here, because we've had a few boring games, especially against, if you look at Man United. But the difference is we had a bit to play for in that. This one, it doesn't feel like we have all that much to play for. But what I will say is that we should put out a decent kind of defence, I would say. I think now's a chance as well to let someone like Ben White get a bit more game time. Are we going to put out a strong... Are we going to put out David Raya, or are we going to put out... what's his face? Neto. I think we might put out Neto, if I'm honest. Give David Raya a rest. And obviously I think Kiro is going to replace someone as well. Whether it's going to be Saliba or Gabriel, I'm not sure. I think I would replace him with Gabriel. But there's some other things we've got to look at as well, like the midfield. Jorginho is probably going to get some minutes. We're probably going to move some other players in there as well in the midfield. And look, all I'm going to say really is I can't even predict what the starting 11 is going to be anymore. But what I will say is PSV, they're going to look at this one of two ways. They're either going to look at it as they're currently 5 goals down to us, and they're going to try and minimise it as much as they can, and hope to God that they can minimise it enough to get back in the game. Or they're going to look at it and say, oh, well, we tried. They've got 5 goals ahead of us, and that's in our ground. They're going to absolutely decimate us in their ground. Regardless, even if they do come out and they do say, we're going to put out a strong squad, we're going to go for them, I still think it's going to be a boring game, because I can see us just sitting back. We just sit back. We don't want to concede our quarterfinal spot. We will just sit back if that's the case. And if it isn't the case, I don't expect much to happen. At most, it's going to be a kick around for some youngsters to enjoy a bit. Um, and one thing to mention as well. Trying to find it right now, but obviously Berta, we've made an agreement with him, and he is going to be our next. He's going to be our next sporting director. So what I want to do, because he said, I remember reading somewhere that he had a specific striker that he wanted. I'm seeing if I can find it now. I can't remember who said it. Was it Cozy Arsenal? I think it was the Cozy Arsenal podcast. But I don't know anything about the striker, right? I don't know anything about. I hear good news. I've heard some people say that he's got more goals than Isaac, which, I mean, yes, there's a good sign and all, but we've got to remember different leagues, and I don't even know where this guy's from. I don't know what league he is. I'm gonna spend a good portion of this video now looking for him. Just see if I can find out what his name is. Trying to find him. Still trying to find him. Good God, why can't I find him now? Regardless, I think you get the message. He again, I don't know anything about him. He's definitely not Premier League proven, I don't think. But look, if Berta wants him, and Berta's got a bit of a history with finding that talent where other people don't. So if Berta wants him, that is definitely a good sign for me. And this is a lot of what-ifism right now. But another thing to talk about is is that his name? Leandro Martinez. Yeah, that's it. That's him. No idea where he's from, if I'm honest. Martinez. Can't really find him. Can't find him. Well, that was a good waste of a good minute or two. But point still stands. If Berta wants him, that is a very good sign. It means he's recognised or he's seeing potential in this signing. On top of that, though, there's a lot of talk as well about our midfield options, and you think about it, we do need a midfield option. When it comes down to this mid to low block, right, we struggle quite a lot against that. We can't break it down. We're too slow in the counter. When we want to speed up, we slow down. And this is frustrating a lot of Arsenal fans, and myself included. If you watch the Man United versus Arsenal watch along, you could tell I was getting frustrated. But it's just we can't break it down. I get that when teams put 5 at the back and just like defend like mid to low block, it's hard to break down. I agree. But we need that kind of midfielder, that attacking midfielder who can break it down. And I don't know what options we're exploring, if we're even exploring any options. But that is something that I think we need as well. Our midfield and our attack is going to make the next season. If we've sorted those problems out, we can win the league. We can go all the way. We can beat these teams who like to play the low to mid block. Teams like Everton and West Ham, who have done that, and it has worked like a charm for them. And if we can find a way to break those down, to bring some goals in from that, then I think that's when we win the league. But until then, we have to be comfortable, and we have to just acknowledge that we're second places. We're just contenders, and we only contend for as far as the season will let us. And you can say, oh, we've been riddled with injuries, dodgy referee decisions, and I've said this time and time again. But just no. Well, yes, that has been a thing, that has been a factor, but at the same time, we've got our own problems that we need to sort out now. We should have sorted out our attack last summer. We didn't. We should have brought in something in the January transfer window. We didn't. And because of that, it's cost us the whole season. But now, everyone's looking to the next season. Everyone is looking to what Berta can do, to what him and Arteta can bring in, to what we can improve in the squad, and everyone, absolutely everyone, is looking at that attack right now. It's a make or break season, I think, especially for Arteta, because he set the expectations so high, but we're not getting the trophies for it. And at the end of the day, come 5 years time, for example, come 5 years time, what do you remember the season by? You remember the season by trophies, by what you won that season. If you've just come second place, no one's going to remember that. No one remembers second place 5-10 years time. No one's going to remember this season, no one's going to remember last season, and no one's going to remember the season before that. And that's why we've got to win. We've got to win trophies. We've got to be able to win something next season that we can look back at and say, fuck, we were that good. But still, there's a lot of work to be done still. I think even if we do all that, there's still some gaps that I think we need to fill. And it's going to be a long process, but Berta and Arteta, we don't really have a choice but to put faith in Arteta, whether you're Arteta out or Arteta in. But one person that we do want to put our faith in, absolutely now, is Berta. Edu, and I'm going to say it, he's let us down this season. He promised us the world. He told us we would not be disappointed in the end. And then, when the results didn't come in, he left. I still don't know what exactly happened, but this will be remembered as one of the worst summer and January transfer windows in Arsenal's history. I'm not complaining about having Calafiori, and I'm not complaining about having Rick Mourinho. I love the fact that we have both of them, but it didn't solve the questions we were asking. It didn't give us what we wanted. And because of that, many Arsenal fans, myself included, we feel let down. But again, it's going to be a lot of talk next season. Will we sort out where the gaps are? Will we just have another transfer window like before? We'll have to see. But for now, it's Arsenal versus PSV, 6-1 on aggregate. Let me know what you think down below. I'm more curious, if anything, to see if you think PSV will just go for it, or if you think they're going to put out a weaker side. But regardless, thank you so much for watching. Like, share, and comment. Please subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And I will be seeing you guys in the match review. Goodbye.